How to become a high achiever in anything. Introduction. Welcome to this journey of transformation. Take a moment to ask yourself a simple question. What separates ordinary people from those who achieve extraordinary things? Is it talent? Intelligence? Luck? Or is there something deeper that anyone can develop? The truth may surprise you. The world's highest achievers are not successful because life was easier for them. They face fear, rejection, failure, and setbacks just like everyone else. The difference is that they refused to let those obstacles define them. While others gave up, they kept moving. While others waited for the perfect moment, they took action with what they had. Becoming a high achiever isn't about being born gifted. It's about developing the right mindset, building powerful habits, maintaining discipline, and committing to constant improvement. Excellence is not an accident. It is a choice made every single day. In this video, you'll discover the principles that have helped successful people across every field rise above the average. Whether your goal is to build wealth, excel in your career, master a skill, grow a business, or simply become the best version of yourself, these lessons can help you move in that direction. As we go through each chapter, don't just listen. Reflect on your own life. Think about the habits you need to change, the excuses you need to leave behind, and the person you want to become. Real transformation begins when knowledge is turned into action. Remember, every expert was once a beginner. Every champion was once unknown. Every success story started with one decision, the decision to begin. So clear your mind, remove every distraction, and give yourself permission to grow. This isn't just another motivational video. It's an invitation to challenge your limits, raise your standards, and unlock the potential that has always been within you. Your journey to becoming a high achiever starts now. Achievement is not luck. It is not something reserved for a gifted few. High achievement is a process. It is a way of thinking, acting, learning, and improving every single day. The world celebrates the final result but rarely sees the years of discipline behind it. They see the champion holding the trophy but not the thousands of hours spent practicing. They see the successful entrepreneur but not the countless failures before success. They see confidence but forget the years of self-doubt that came before it. The truth is simple. Every extraordinary life is built through ordinary actions repeated consistently. Today begins your journey. By the end of the series, you will understand how high achievers think, how they make decisions, how they overcome failure, and how they keep moving forward even when life becomes difficult. This is Chapter 1. And everything begins with a decision. Chapter 1. The decision that changes everything. Point 1. Success is a decision before it becomes a result. There is a moment in every great life when everything begins to change. It is not the day money arrives. It is not the day recognition comes. It is not the day people begin to admire you. It is the day you decide that you will no longer settle for less than your potential. Most people wait for the perfect time before they take action. They wait until they feel confident. They wait until they have more money. They wait until someone believes in them. But high achievers understand something different. They know that confidence comes after action, not before it. They know that opportunities are created by those who are willing to move first. If you study the lives of successful athletes, entrepreneurs, inventors, artists, and leaders, you will discover one common pattern. Long before the world believed in them, they believed in themselves. Long before success became visible, they made an invisible decision that they would keep moving forward regardless of the obstacles ahead. Think about a seed planted in the ground. For days or even weeks, nothing seems to happen. If someone looked only at the surface, they might believe the seed had failed. But beneath the soil, something incredible is happening. Roots are growing deeper. The foundation is becoming stronger. The future tree is preparing itself for the day it will finally break through the ground. Your success works exactly the same way. Many people quit because they cannot see immediate progress. They assume nothing is happening. They compare themselves to others who appear to be farther ahead. They become discouraged and stop trying. What they fail to realize is that every effort, every lesson, every mistake, and every small improvement is building a stronger foundation beneath the surface. High achievers trust the process even when the results are invisible. Imagine two people starting the exact same journey. Both have similar abilities. Both have similar opportunities. The first person works only when they feel inspired. Some days they work hard, and other days they do nothing. The second person makes a promise to themselves. Whether they feel motivated or not, they show up every single day and do the work. 1 year later, their lives are completely different. Not because one was born more talented. Not because one had better luck. But because one made a decision and refused to break it. This is where your transformation begins. You must stop asking yourself whether you are capable. Instead, ask yourself whether you are committed. Capability grows over time. Commitment is a choice. Many people underestimate the power of small daily actions. Reading 10 pages every day may not seem impressive. Practicing a skill for 1 hour every day may not seem life-changing. Saving a small amount of money each week may seem insignificant. But over months and years, these small actions compound into extraordinary results. High achievement is never built in one dramatic moment. It is built in thousands of ordinary moments that most people ignore. Every morning you choose discipline over excuses, you become stronger. Every evening you choose learning over wasting time, you become wiser. Every challenge you refuse to run away from increases your confidence. Every promise you keep to yourself builds self-respect. Eventually, the person you once wanted to become starts looking back at the person you used to be. That is the power of one decision repeated every day. From this moment forward, stop introducing yourself by your past failures. Stop defining yourself by your mistakes. Stop believing that yesterday determines tomorrow. Your future is written by the choices you make today. The greatest achievement is not becoming richer than everyone else. It is becoming better than the person you were yesterday. As this chapter comes to an end, remember this truth. High achievers are not people who never fail. They are people who never allow failure to become their identity. Today, you have a choice. You can continue living the same way and expect different results. Or you can decide that this moment marks the beginning of a completely different life. The decision is yours. And every extraordinary journey begins with that single decision. In the next chapter, you will discover why your mindset is the foundation of every achievement, and how changing the way you think can completely transform the way you live. Chapter 2. Develop the mindset of a high achiever. Point 1. Your mindset determines your destination. Every achievement begins in the mind before it appears in reality. The way you think influences the way you act. The way you act determines the habits you build. Those habits shape your character, and your character ultimately creates your future. If you want to become a high achiever in any area of life, the first thing you must transform is not your circumstances but your mindset. Many people believe success starts when they have more money, better opportunities, or stronger connections. High achievers know that success starts long before those things appear. It starts with believing that growth is possible, even when there is no evidence yet. Imagine two people facing the same challenge. One sees it as proof that they are not good enough. The other sees it as an opportunity to learn something new. Both experience the same situation, but they leave with completely different results because they interpret the experience differently. Your mindset is like the lens through which you see the world. If the lens is filled with doubt, every obstacle looks impossible. If the lens is filled with growth, every obstacle becomes a lesson. This is why two people can experience the same failure, yet one gives up while the other becomes stronger. High achievers understand that failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is part of success. Every mistake teaches a lesson. Every setback reveals a weakness that can be improved. Every obstacle develops strength that comfort never could. Think about a child learning to walk. That child falls again and again. Yet no one expects the child to quit after the first fall. Every failure is simply another step toward success. Somehow, as adults, we forget this lesson. We become afraid of making mistakes. We become embarrassed by failure. We begin avoiding challenges because we fear looking foolish. But growth has never happened inside a comfort zone. Every skill you admire today once felt impossible to the person who mastered it. Every successful speaker was once nervous. Every successful entrepreneur was once inexperienced. Every professional athlete was once a beginner. The difference is simple. They continued learning while others stopped trying. One of the greatest habits you can develop is replacing negative self-talk with constructive thinking. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," ask yourself, "How can I learn to do this?" Instead of saying, "I'm not talented," remind yourself, "Skill is developed through practice." Instead of saying, "This is impossible," ask, "What is the next small step I can take?" These small changes in language may seem insignificant, but they reshape the way your brain responds to challenges. Words become beliefs. Beliefs become actions. Actions become results. Protect your mind carefully. The books you read, the videos you watch, the conversations you have, and the people you spend time with all influence your thinking. If you constantly surround yourself with negativity, excuses, and hopelessness, those attitudes will eventually become your own. But if you fill your mind with wisdom, encouragement, discipline, and possibility, your thinking will gradually change. High achievers are extremely selective about what they allow into their minds because they know that every thought is planting a seed. Some seeds produce confidence. Some produce fear. Some produce courage. Some produce doubt. You choose which seeds to water. From today onward, stop seeing yourself as someone limited by your past. See yourself as someone who is constantly growing. Every day you learn something new. Every day you become a little stronger. Every day you move one step closer to the person you were created to become. Never underestimate the power of changing the way you think. A changed mindset leads to changed actions. Changed actions lead to changed habits. Changed habits lead to a changed life. And a changed life is what every high achiever is ultimately working toward. In the next point, you will discover why discipline is far more powerful than motivation, and why those who rely only on motivation rarely reach their full potential. Chapter 2: Develop the mindset of a high achiever. Point 2: Discipline will take you where motivation cannot. If there is one quality that separates high achievers from everyone else, it is discipline. Many people believe motivation is the key to success. They wait until they feel excited before they begin. They watch inspiring videos, read powerful quotes, and promise themselves that tomorrow will be different. For a few days, they are full of energy. They wake up early, work hard, and believe they have finally changed. But then reality arrives. The excitement fades. The work becomes difficult. The results are slower than expected. Suddenly, the motivation that once felt so powerful disappears, and with it, their commitment. This is why so many dreams never become reality. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is permanent. High achievers understand that feelings change every day. Some mornings you will wake up energized and ready to conquer the world. Other mornings you will feel tired, discouraged, or overwhelmed. If your actions depend on your emotions, your progress will always be inconsistent. Discipline changes that. Discipline says, "I will do what needs to be done, whether I feel like it or not." Think about a professional athlete preparing for a championship. They don't train only on the days they feel inspired. They train when it's raining. They train when they're tired. They train when no one is watching. They train because they know that every session brings them one step closer to excellence. The same principle applies to every area of life. If you want to become financially successful, you must manage your money consistently. If you want to become physically fit, you must exercise consistently. If you want to master a skill, you must practice consistently. If you want to build a successful business, you must work consistently. Notice the word that appears in every sentence. Consistently. Consistency is the language of discipline. Imagine two people trying to improve their lives. The first person works hard only when they feel motivated. They have days of incredible effort followed by weeks of inactivity. The second person commits to 1 hour of focused work every single day. Some days that hour feels easy. Other days it feels difficult. But regardless of how they feel, they keep their promise to themselves. At the end of 1 year, Who do you think will have made greater progress? The answer is obvious. Small, consistent actions will always outperform occasional bursts of effort. Discipline also builds something incredibly valuable: self-trust. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you prove that your word matters. You tell yourself, "I can rely on me." That confidence cannot be bought. It is earned through repeated action. Unfortunately, many people unknowingly weaken their self-confidence by breaking promises to themselves every day. They say they'll wake up early, but they don't. They say they'll study, but they procrastinate. They say they'll save money, but they spend it. Over time, they begin to doubt themselves because their actions no longer match their intentions. High achievers understand this danger. They know that integrity isn't just about being honest with others. It's also about being honest with yourself. When you say you will do something, do it. Even if it's a small task. Even if no one else notices. Because every kept promise strengthens your character. There will be days when progress feels invisible. There will be moments when you question whether your hard work is worth it. During those moments, remember this truth. The bamboo tree spends years growing its roots before it rises above the ground. To someone who doesn't understand the process, it appears as though nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, a strong foundation is being built. Your discipline works the same way. Every hour you spend learning, every page you read, every workout you complete, every skill you practice, every distraction you resist, you are strengthening the roots of your future success. One day, people will see your achievements and call you lucky. They won't see the countless mornings you chose discipline over comfort. They won't see the evenings you stayed focused while others wasted time. They won't see the sacrifices you made when no one was applauding. But you will know. Because greatness is always built in private before it is rewarded in public. From this day forward, stop asking yourself if you feel motivated. Ask yourself a better question. What does the person I want to become do today? Then do exactly that. Not once. Not occasionally. But every single day. Because discipline is not just something high achievers practice. It is the lifestyle they choose. In the next point, you'll discover why mastering your time is one of the greatest advantages you can ever develop, and how every successful person learns to make every hour count. Point 3. Master your time before you try to master your goals. Every person on earth receives the same 24 hours each day. The wealthy receive 24 hours. The poor receive 24 hours. The successful receive 24 hours. The unsuccessful receive 24 hours. Time is the one resource that cannot be borrowed, replaced, or recovered. Once a minute is gone, it is gone forever. High achievers understand this better than anyone else. They know that success is not built by finding more time. It is built by making better use of the time they already have. Many people complain that they don't have enough time to learn a new skill, exercise, start a business, or read books. Yet they spend hours scrolling through social media, watching television without purpose, or worrying about things they cannot control. The problem is rarely a lack of time. The problem is a lack of priorities. High achievers ask themselves one question before beginning any task. Will this move me closer to the life I want? If the answer is yes, they give it their full attention. If the answer is no, they learn to say no. Learning to say no is one of the greatest skills you will ever develop. Every time you say yes to distractions, you are saying no to your dreams. Every hour wasted today is an opportunity that tomorrow can never return. That may sound harsh, but it is also empowering. Because it means your future is shaped by the choices you make every single day. Story. There was once a young carpenter who dreamed of owning the biggest furniture company in his city. He worked for a small workshop during the day, earning just enough to survive. Every evening, his friends invited him to spend hours talking, playing games, and complaining about life. For a while, he joined them. Then one evening, he realized something. 5 hours every night multiplied by 7 days was 35 hours every week. That was almost another full-time job. Instead of wasting those hours, he made a different decision. Every evening after work, he stayed in the workshop to improve his craft. He learned new woodworking techniques, studied successful furniture makers, practiced better designs, and saved every extra coin he earned. His friends laughed at him. They called him obsessed. They said he was working too hard. Months turned into years. One day, the owner of the workshop decided to retire and offered to sell the business. Because the young carpenter had been saving consistently, he was able to buy it. Years later, the same friends who once mocked his discipline walked into his showroom as customers. They saw beautiful furniture displayed across a massive building and asked him the secret to his success. He smiled and answered, "I didn't have more time than you. I simply treated my time differently." That is the difference between ordinary people and high achievers. High achievers invest time the way wise investors invest money. They expect every hour to produce a return. That doesn't mean they never rest. Rest is important. But there is a difference between resting to recover and wasting time without purpose. Rest gives you strength. Distraction steals your future. Imagine what could happen if you invested just one focused hour every day into becoming better. 1 hour reading. 1 hour practicing. 1 hour learning. 1 hour improving your health. 1 hour building your dream. At first, the progress would seem small. But after 1 year, you would have invested more than 365 hours into becoming a different person. That is the power of consistency. Time is always moving. The question is whether you are moving with it. One day, you will look back at this season of your life. Make sure you can say, "I used my time to build the future I dreamed of." Because every great achievement begins with a single hour used wisely. In the next point, you'll discover why stepping outside your comfort zone is the turning point that transforms ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. Point 3. Master your time before you try to master your goals. Every person on earth receives the same 24 hours each day. The wealthy receive 24 hours. The poor receive 24 hours. The successful receive 24 hours. The unsuccessful receive 24 hours. Time is the one resource that cannot be borrowed, replaced, or recovered. Once a minute is gone, it is gone forever. High achievers understand this better than anyone else. They know that success is not built by finding more time. It is built by making better use of the time they already have. Many people complain that they don't have enough time to learn a new skill, exercise, start a business, or read books. Yet they spend hours scrolling through social media, watching television without purpose, or worrying about things they cannot control. The problem is rarely a lack of time. The problem is a lack of priorities. High achievers ask themselves one question before beginning any task. Will this move me closer to the life I want? If the answer is yes, they give it their full attention. If the answer is no, they learn to say no. Learning to say no is one of the greatest skills you will ever develop. Every time you say yes to distractions, you are saying no to your dreams. Every hour wasted today is an opportunity that tomorrow can never return. That may sound harsh, but it is also empowering. Because it means your future is shaped by the choices you make every single day. Story. There was once a young carpenter who dreamed of owning the biggest furniture company in his city. He worked for a small workshop during the day, earning just enough to survive. Every evening, his friends invited him to spend hours talking, playing games, and complaining about life. For a while, he joined them. Then one evening, he realized something. 5 hours every night multiplied by 7 days was 35 hours every week. That was almost another full-time job. Instead of wasting those hours, he made a different decision. Every evening after work, he stayed in the workshop to improve his craft. He learned new woodworking techniques, studied successful furniture makers, practiced better designs, and saved every extra coin he earned. His friends laughed at him. They called him obsessed. They said he was working too hard. Months turned into years. One day, the owner of the workshop decided to retire and offered to sell the business. Because the young carpenter had been saving consistently, he was able to buy it. Years later, the same friends who once mocked his discipline walked into his showroom as customers. They saw beautiful furniture displayed across a massive building and asked him the secret to his success. He smiled and answered, "I didn't have more time than you. I simply treated my time differently." That is the difference between ordinary people and high achievers. High achievers invest time the way wise investors invest money. They expect every hour to produce a return. That doesn't mean they never rest. Rest is important. But there is a difference between resting to recover and wasting time without purpose. Rest gives you strength. Distraction steals your future. Imagine what could happen if you invested just one focused hour every day into becoming better. 1 hour reading. 1 hour practicing. 1 hour learning. 1 hour improving your health. 1 hour building your dream. At first, the progress would seem small. But after 1 year, you would have invested more than 365 hours into becoming a different person. That is the power of consistency. Time is always moving. The question is whether you are moving with it. One day, you will look back at this season of your life. Make sure you can say, "I used my time to build the future I dreamed of." Because every great achievement begins with a single hour used wisely. In the next point, you'll discover why stepping outside your comfort zone is the turning point that transforms ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. Point 4. Step out of your comfort zone to discover your true potential. There is an invisible prison that keeps millions of people from becoming who they were meant to be. It has no walls, no locked doors, no security guards. Yet countless dreams die inside it every single day. That prison is called the comfort zone. The comfort zone feels safe because nothing unexpected happens there. You know what to expect. You avoid risks, difficult conversations, new challenges, and unfamiliar opportunities. At first, it feels peaceful. But over time, that comfort slowly turns into regret. High achievers understand a powerful truth: comfort and growth can never live in the same place. Every time you learn a new skill, you feel uncomfortable. Every time you speak in front of an audience for the first time, you feel nervous. Every time you start a business, apply for a better job, or chase a bigger dream, uncertainty follows. That feeling is not a sign that you should stop. It is a sign that you are growing. Most people mistake discomfort for danger. They think, "If this feels difficult, maybe it isn't for me." But the reality is the opposite. The greatest opportunities in life are usually hidden behind temporary discomfort. Think about the first time you learned to ride a bicycle. You probably fell. You may have scraped your knees. You may have wanted to quit. But imagine if you had stopped after your first fall. You would never have experienced the freedom that came from learning. Life works the same way. Every new level requires a new version of you. That version cannot be created by repeating the same comfortable habits every day. Story. A young woman dreamed of becoming a successful public speaker. She had incredible ideas, but she was terrified of speaking in front of people. Whenever she imagined standing on a stage, her hands became sweaty, her voice trembled, and fear took over. For years, she convinced herself that she simply wasn't born to speak. One day, she attended a seminar where the speaker said something that changed her life forever. He said, "Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is acting despite fear." Those words stayed with her. The following week, she joined a small community group where members gave 5-minute speeches. Her first presentation was far from perfect. She forgot parts of her speech. She stumbled over her words. Her voice shook from beginning to end. She went home feeling embarrassed. But she returned the next week. Then the next. And the next. Each speech became a little better than the last. Months later, she was confidently speaking to hundreds of people. Years later, she was invited to speak at conferences around the country, inspiring thousands with her story. People often asked her, "When did you become confident?" She smiled and replied, "I became confident because I kept doing the thing that scared me." That is how confidence is built. Not by waiting, but by acting. Fear loses its power every time you face it. Many people spend their lives waiting for fear to disappear before taking action. High achievers take action first. Eventually, fear disappears because it has nothing left to control. Ask yourself today, what dream have you postponed because it feels uncomfortable? What opportunity have you ignored because you were afraid of failing? What skill have you refused to learn because you were worried about looking inexperienced? Remember this. Every expert was once a beginner. Every champion was once unknown. Every successful person once stood exactly where you are now. The only difference is that they took the first step. Growth always begins where comfort ends. So don't run from challenges. Welcome them. Don't fear difficult situations. Learn from them. Don't avoid failure. Use it as your greatest teacher. Your comfort zone may protect you from failure, but it will also protect you from success. The life you dream about is waiting on the other side of the fears you are willing to face. Every step you take outside your comfort zone expands your confidence, strengthens your character, and prepares you for greater opportunities. One day, you'll look back and realize that the things which once terrified you became the very things that transformed your life. In the next point, you'll discover why lifelong learning is one of the greatest habits shared by every high achiever and how staying teachable gives you an advantage that never expires. Point 5. Never stop learning, because growth never stops. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that education ends when school ends. High achievers know that graduation is not the finish line. It is only the beginning. The world is changing every single day. New technology appears. Industries evolve. Skills that were valuable yesterday may become outdated tomorrow. Those who refuse to learn are eventually left behind, not because they lack talent, but because they stopped growing. Learning is one of the greatest investments you can ever make because no one can take it away from you. Money can be lost. A business can fail. A job can disappear. But the knowledge and skills you develop stay with you for the rest of your life. That is why high achievers become lifelong students. They read books while others scroll endlessly through social media. They listen to educational podcasts while driving. They attend seminars and workshops. They ask questions instead of pretending to know everything. Most importantly, they remain humble enough to admit there is always more to learn. The moment you believe you know it all is the moment your growth begins to slow. A curious mind is a growing mind. Imagine carrying 2 buckets every day. One bucket is labeled knowledge. The other is labeled excuses. Every day, you can choose which one to fill. If you fill the bucket of knowledge, your opportunities grow. If you fill the bucket of excuses, your limitations grow. The choice is yours. Story. There was an old fisherman who had spent over 40 years fishing on the same river. He knew every corner of the water and believed there was nothing left for him to learn. One morning, a young fisherman arrived. He carried strange equipment, used different techniques, and studied the behavior of the fish instead of relying only on experience. The older fisherman laughed. "I've been fishing longer than you've been alive," he said. "You have nothing to teach me." As the weeks passed, something unexpected happened. The young fisherman consistently caught more fish. People from nearby villages came to buy from him because his catch was always larger. Curious, the older fisherman finally asked, "What is your secret?" The young man smiled and replied, "I respect your experience. But every week I learn one new technique. I never assume I've mastered everything." The older fisherman realized that experience without learning becomes routine. From that day forward, he started studying again. He asked questions. He observed others. He practiced new methods. Within a few months, his results improved dramatically. His greatest breakthrough came not because he worked harder, but because he became teachable again. That story reminds us of an important truth. Experience is valuable. But experience combined with continuous learning is powerful. Never allow pride to become the reason you stop improving. Some people are too proud to ask for help. Too proud to read beginner books. Too proud to admit they made a mistake. High achievers are different. They understand that asking questions is a sign of wisdom, not weakness. They know that every expert they admire was once a student. Make learning part of your daily routine. Read a few pages every day. Learn one new idea each week. Practice one new skill each month. Seek mentors who have already achieved what you hope to accomplish. Don't just collect information. Apply it. Knowledge without action changes nothing. Applied knowledge changes everything. Years from now, the person who keeps learning will be living a completely different life from the person who decided they already knew enough. Remember, your greatest competition is not another person. It is the version of yourself that refuses to grow. Choose to become better every day. Read when others are distracted. Study when others are complaining. Practice when others are making excuses. Keep learning long after everyone else believes they know enough. Because the day you stop learning is the day you stop growing. And high achievers never stop growing. As this chapter comes to an end, remember this. Your future is built by what you repeatedly learn, repeatedly practice, and repeatedly become. In the next chapter, you'll discover how your daily habits quietly shape your destiny and why small actions, repeated consistently, create extraordinary lives. Chapter 3: The Power of Daily Habits. Point 1. Small habits create extraordinary results. If someone asked you what changes a person's life, you might think of a big opportunity, a huge promotion, or a life-changing event. But the truth is much simpler. Your life is not shaped by what you do once in a while. It is shaped by what you do every single day. High achievers understand that success is rarely built through one giant action. Instead, it is built through thousands of small decisions that seem insignificant in the moment, but become life-changing over time. One healthy meal won't transform your body. One workout won't make you strong. One book won't make you wise. One day of hard work won't make you successful. But when these actions become daily habits, they begin to reshape your future. Think of a single drop of water. One drop seems powerless. But if that same drop falls continuously on a rock for years, it can carve through solid stone. Not because the water is stronger than the rock, but because consistency is stronger than force. Your habits work exactly the same way. Every choice you make is like casting a vote for the person you are becoming. When you choose to wake up early, you vote for discipline. When you choose to study instead of wasting time, you vote for growth. When you choose to exercise, you vote for health. When you choose to save money instead of spending it carelessly, you vote for financial freedom. Day after day, these votes begin to shape your identity. Eventually, you no longer have to force yourself to do the right thing. It becomes part of who you are. That is the hidden power of habits. Story. There was a young boy who dreamed of becoming one of the best piano players in the world. His family wasn't wealthy. They couldn't afford expensive teachers. They couldn't buy the finest instruments. But his grandfather gave him one piece of advice. Practice for 1 hour every single day. Never miss a day. The boy followed that advice faithfully. Some days he was excited. Other days he was tired after school. Sometimes he felt like quitting because his friends were outside playing. Still, he sat in front of the piano every evening and practiced. 1 hour. Every day. Weeks became months. Months became years. Slowly, people began to notice his improvement. His fingers moved with confidence. His music touched people's hearts. Eventually, he earned a scholarship to one of the Düringen. His music touched people's hearts. Eventually, he earned a scholarship to one of the best music academies in the country. During an interview, a reporter asked him, "When did you become an extraordinary pianist?" He smiled and answered, "I didn't become extraordinary in one day. I simply refused to stop doing ordinary things consistently." That answer contains one of the greatest secrets of success. Extraordinary people are often ordinary people with extraordinary consistency. The challenge is that habits don't always produce immediate rewards. The first day you exercise, your body barely changes. The first day you save money, you don't become wealthy. The first day you study, you don't become an expert. Because the results are invisible at first, many people quit too soon. They mistake slow progress for no progress. But high achievers know something others don't. Every positive habit is like planting a seed. You cannot plant a seed today and expect fruit tomorrow. You must water it. Protect it. Give it time. Then one day, the harvest appears. The same is true for your life. Every disciplined action is preparing a future reward. Every positive habit is shaping the person you will become. So don't become discouraged by small beginnings. Celebrate them. Because every great accomplishment once started as a small daily habit. Ask yourself today, what habit is helping me become the person I want to be? Then ask, what habit is quietly keeping me from becoming that person? Be honest. Some habits build your future. Others quietly steal it. Choose wisely. Your habits are writing your story every single day. And years from now, your life will be the sum of the small decisions you made when no one was watching. In the next point, you'll discover why your environment has more influence on your success than you may realize, and how changing what surrounds you can completely change the direction of your life. Chapter 3: The Power of Daily Habits. Point 2: Your environment shapes your success. Take a moment and look around you. Look at the place where you spend most of your time. Look at the people you speak to every day. Look at the conversations you listen to. Look at the habits that surround you. Now ask yourself one question. Is this environment helping me become the person I want to be? Many people believe success depends only on willpower. They think that if they are determined enough, they can succeed anywhere. But high achievers understand something different. Your environment either pushes you forward or quietly pulls you backward. Imagine trying to grow a beautiful flower. You plant the best seed you can find. You water it every day. You protect it from insects. But instead of planting it in fertile soil, you place it in dry sand where it receives almost no sunlight. No matter how good the seed is, it will struggle to grow. Now imagine taking that exact same seed and planting it in rich soil with enough water and sunlight. Suddenly, everything changes. The seed hasn't changed. The environment has. People are no different. A person surrounded by negativity will constantly have to fight discouragement. A person surrounded by laziness will find discipline much harder. A person surrounded by people who complain every day will slowly begin to complain as well. But place that same person among people who are ambitious, disciplined, and constantly improving themselves, and something incredible begins to happen. Their thinking changes. Their standards rise. Their actions improve. That is the power of environment. Story. There was once a young man who wanted to become an excellent runner. Every morning he trained alone in his neighborhood. He gave his best effort, but after 2 years, his speed had barely improved. One day, he was invited to train with a group of professional runners. At first, he was intimidated. They ran faster than him. They trained harder than him. They had more experience than him. During the first week, he struggled to keep up. There were moments when he wanted to quit because he felt like he didn't belong. But something interesting happened. Week after week, his body adapted. His mindset changed. He began waking up earlier without being told. He paid more attention to his diet. He trained with greater focus because everyone around him expected excellence. Within a year, he had broken every personal record he had ever set. A journalist later asked him, "What training program changed your life?" He smiled and answered, "It wasn't just the training program. It was the people I trained with. They made excellence feel normal." That is one of the greatest secrets of high achievement. You naturally begin to resemble the people you spend the most time with. If everyone around you believes that hard work is normal, you'll begin to work harder. If everyone around you values learning, you'll naturally become more curious. If everyone around you dreams big, you'll stop limiting yourself. This doesn't mean you should abandon people you care about. It means you should be intentional about the voices that influence your life. Protect your mind. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every friendship deserves unlimited access to your future. Some people encourage your growth. Others unknowingly feed your fears. Choose carefully. Your environment is more than the people around you. It also includes what you watch. what you listen to, what you read, what fills your social media feed. Every piece of information you consume is shaping the way you think. If you spend hours consuming negativity, fear, gossip, and distractions, don't be surprised if your mind becomes filled with those same things. But if you feed your mind with wisdom, discipline, knowledge, and inspiration every day, your thinking will begin to rise above the average. High achievers are extremely protective of what enters their minds. They understand that every thought is a seed. Whatever you plant repeatedly will eventually grow. So create an environment that supports your dreams. Keep books where you can easily read them. Keep your workspace clean and organized. Spend time with people who challenge you to become better. Listen to ideas that stretch your thinking. Remove distractions that steal your focus. Remember this powerful truth. You don't rise to the level of your wishes. You rise to the level of your environment and your daily habits. If you change what surrounds you, you will gradually change what is inside you. And when what is inside you changes, your actions begin to change. Those actions create new results. Those results create a new life. The future you dream about may begin with one simple decision. The decision to surround yourself with what helps you grow instead of what keeps you the same. In the next point, you'll discover why consistency is more powerful than intensity, and how doing the right things repeatedly will always produce greater results than occasional bursts of effort. Chapter 3: The Power of Daily Habits. Point 3: Consistency beats intensity every time. One of the biggest misconceptions about success is that you have to make massive progress every single day. People often believe they need to work 18 hours a day, never rest, and push themselves to the limit if they want to become high achievers. While hard work is important, there is something even more powerful: consistency. High achievers don't focus on being perfect. They focus on showing up. They understand that small efforts repeated every day will always outperform huge efforts that happen only once in a while. Think about a person who decides to read 100 pages in a single day but doesn't open another book for the next 3 months. Now compare that person with someone who reads just 10 pages every day. At first, the first person seems more productive. But after a year, the second person has read thousands of pages, gained more knowledge, and built a habit that will continue for years. This is the power of consistency. It doesn't always produce immediate results, but it always produces lasting results. Many people quit because they expect success to happen quickly. They work hard for a few weeks. When they don't see dramatic changes, they assume the effort isn't working. They become discouraged. Then they stop. What they fail to understand is that success often grows quietly. Like the sunrise, it doesn't happen all at once. The sky slowly becomes brighter until one moment you realize the darkness has disappeared. Your progress works the same way. Each day may seem ordinary. Each improvement may seem small. But those small improvements are adding up behind the scenes. Story. There was a young woman who dreamed of becoming a writer. She admired famous authors and imagined seeing her own books on bookstore shelves. Every January, she made the same New Year's resolution. "This is the year I'll write my book." She would write for a few days with excitement. Then life became busy. Weeks passed. Months passed. The unfinished manuscript remained hidden in a drawer. One day, she met an elderly author during a literary event. She asked him, "How did you write so many books?" She expected him to reveal a complicated writing system. Instead, he smiled and said, "I made one promise to myself many years ago. I would write at least 500 words every single day." She looked surprised. "Only 500? He nodded. "Some days I wrote much more. Some days I wrote exactly 500. But I never allowed myself to write 0. Those words changed her life. The next morning, she began writing. Not for hours. Not until she felt inspired. Just 500 words. Some days it took 20 minutes. Other days it took an hour. There were moments when she was tired. Moments when she doubted herself. Moments when she believed the book wasn't good enough. But she remembered the promise. Never write 0. 1 year later, she completed her first novel. A publisher accepted it. The book became a bestseller. During interviews, people asked, "How did you stay motivated for an entire year?" She laughed gently and replied, "I didn't depend on motivation. I depended on consistency." That is the difference between dreamers and achievers. Dreamers wait for inspiration. Achievers create routines. Your future does not depend on what you do occasionally. It depends on what you do repeatedly. If you improve by just 1% every day, the difference may seem invisible at first. But after months and years, those tiny improvements become extraordinary. 1% becomes 2. 2 becomes 10. 10 becomes 100. Eventually, people look at your success and assume you were naturally gifted. They never see the countless ordinary days that built your extraordinary life. Remember, consistency also teaches patience. It reminds you that meaningful success takes time. A tree does not grow overnight. A masterpiece is not painted in a single hour. A champion is not created in one competition. Everything valuable is built one day at a time. So don't measure your success by what happens this week. Measure it by whether you stayed faithful to the process. Did you practice today? Did you learn today? Did you move one step closer to your goal today? If the answer is yes, then you are already succeeding. Because every consistent action is another brick in the foundation of your future. Never underestimate the power of showing up. Even on difficult days. Even when no one notices. Even when the results seem invisible. Those are the days that separate high achievers from everyone else. As this point comes to an end, remember this truth. Greatness is not created by one extraordinary effort. It is created by ordinary efforts repeated with extraordinary consistency. In the next point, you'll discover why self-discipline and delayed gratification are the hidden superpowers behind every remarkable achievement, and how learning to sacrifice today can completely transform your tomorrow. Chapter 3: The Power of Daily Habits. Point 4: Learn to delay gratification. One of the greatest differences between average people and high achievers is not intelligence. It is not talent. It is not luck. It is the ability to sacrifice what feels good today for something far greater tomorrow. We live in a world that encourages instant gratification. Food arrives in minutes. Movies begin with a single click. Messages are delivered in seconds. Everything around us teaches us to expect immediate results. Unfortunately, success doesn't work that way. Success rewards patience. It rewards discipline. It rewards those who are willing to invest today without demanding an immediate return. High achievers understand that every meaningful reward requires a period of waiting. A farmer plants seeds long before he harvests crops. An architect spends months designing before a building is constructed. A doctor studies for years before earning the title. An athlete trains for thousands of hours before standing on the podium. None of them receive the reward on the first day. They trust the process. You must learn to do the same. Every day, life presents you with two choices. The first choice offers immediate pleasure. The second offers long-term progress. You can watch another hour of meaningless entertainment, or spend that hour learning a valuable skill. You can spend every paycheck the moment it arrives, or save and invest for your future. You can sleep through your alarm, or wake up early and move one step closer to your dreams. These decisions may seem small, but they quietly shape the direction of your life. Your future is built by the choices you make when no one is watching. Story. There was once a young man who started his first job immediately after finishing school. Every month, he received his salary and spent almost all of it within a few days. New clothes, expensive gadgets, weekend outings. He believed he deserved to enjoy his money because he had worked hard for it. His friend, who earned exactly the same salary, made different choices. He created a simple budget. He saved a portion of every paycheck before spending anything. He bought books instead of unnecessary luxuries. He invested in courses that improved his skills. People laughed at him. "Why are you living like you're poor?" they asked. "You only live once. He simply smiled and continued with his plan. 5 years passed. The first young man was still living from paycheck to paycheck. Every unexpected expense became a crisis. He had dreams but lacked the financial freedom to pursue them. The second young man had built savings, learned valuable skills, and started a small business on the side. Within a few more years, that business became successful enough for him to leave his job. One evening, the first young man asked his friend, "How did you get so far ahead of me? We started with the same salary." His friend answered, "The difference wasn't how much we earned. The difference was what we chose to sacrifice." That conversation changed his life forever. The lesson is simple. Your future is determined more by your daily decisions than by your current circumstances. Delayed gratification is difficult because the reward is invisible at first. No one applauds you for saying no to distractions. No one celebrates when you choose to study instead of wasting time. No one notices when you quietly save money instead of spending it. But those silent decisions are building a future that others cannot yet see. High achievers don't ask, "What do I feel like doing?" They ask, "What will benefit my future self?" Imagine meeting yourself 10 years from now. What would that future version of you thank you for? Would they thank you for spending countless hours on distractions? Or would they thank you for reading that extra book, learning that valuable skill, saving that money, taking care of your health, building your character? Every sacrifice you make today becomes a gift to your future. Remember, saying no to one thing often means saying yes to something greater. When you say no to procrastination, you say yes to progress. When you say no to excuses, you say yes to growth. When you say no to comfort, you say yes to opportunity. Every great achievement is built upon thousands of moments where someone chose long-term purpose over short-term pleasure. That is not easy, but it is worth it. Because one day, the sacrifices that seem difficult today will become the very reason you are living the life you once dreamed about. Never be discouraged because success takes time. The strongest trees grow slowly. The finest diamonds are formed under pressure. The greatest achievements belong to those who are willing to wait, work, and remain faithful to the process. As this point comes to an end, remember this powerful truth. Temporary comfort creates permanent regret. Temporary sacrifice creates lasting success. Choose wisely. Because every decision you make today is introducing you to the person you will become tomorrow. In the next point, you'll discover why protecting your focus is one of the most valuable habits of every high achiever and how eliminating distractions can dramatically accelerate your success. Chapter 3: The Power of Daily Habits. Point 5: Protect your focus like your future depends on it. In today's world, your greatest enemy is not a lack of opportunity. It is distraction. Never before in history have people had access to so much information, yet struggled so much to concentrate. Every few minutes, a notification appears. A message demands your attention. A video promises entertainment. Social media offers endless content that can consume hours without you even realizing it. Little by little, your attention is stolen. And when your attention is stolen, your future begins to slip away. High achievers understand that focus is one of the most valuable assets they possess. They know they cannot give their best to everything. Instead, they give their best to the things that matter most. Imagine trying to fill a bucket with water while there are holes in the bottom. No matter how much water you pour in, it continues to leak out. That is exactly what happens when your attention is divided. You may spend 10 hours working, but if you are constantly switching between your task, your phone, your messages, and social media, very little meaningful work is actually completed. Focus is not about doing more things. It is about doing fewer things with greater excellence. When you concentrate fully on one important task, your mind becomes sharper. Your creativity increases. Your productivity multiplies. The quality of your work improves. This is why the world's highest achievers often protect blocks of uninterrupted time. During those moments, they remove distractions and dedicate themselves completely to one purpose. Story. There was a young sculptor who dreamed of creating statues that would one day be displayed in famous museums. He had natural talent, but every time he began working, he became distracted. He would stop to answer messages. He would leave his workshop to chat with friends. He would spend hours watching other artists instead of improving his own craft. Years passed, and although he stayed busy, his skills improved very little. One afternoon, he visited an elderly master sculptor whose work was admired throughout the country. As he entered the workshop, he noticed something unusual. There was complete silence. No music. No visitors. No distractions. Only the sound of a hammer striking stone. The old sculptor worked for hours without looking away from his masterpiece. When the day ended, the young man asked, "How do you create sculptures that leave people speechless?" The old man smiled and placed his hand on the unfinished statue. Then he said, "I don't create masterpieces because I have more talent. I create them because, while others divide their attention among many things, I give my full attention to one thing." Those words stayed with the young sculptor. The next morning, he made a decision. Before beginning his work, he turned off his phone. He removed unnecessary distractions from his workshop. He dedicated 2 uninterrupted hours every morning to practicing his craft. At first, it felt uncomfortable. His mind constantly wanted to check notifications. He became restless. But after several weeks, something incredible happened. His concentration became stronger. His skills improved faster than ever before. His confidence grew. Within a few years, his sculptures were being displayed in galleries across the country. People praised his talent. But they never saw the quiet mornings when he chose focus over distraction. That is the hidden truth behind every remarkable achievement. Behind every successful book is a writer who learned to focus. Behind every successful business is an entrepreneur who protected their attention. Behind every world-class athlete is someone who trained without allowing distractions to interrupt their purpose. The same principle applies to you. Every minute you give to meaningless distractions is a minute you cannot invest in your future. Ask yourself honestly, what steals most of your attention? Is it endless scrolling? Negative conversations? Television? Fear? Procrastination? Whatever it is, recognize it. Then begin removing it one step at a time. You do not need to eliminate every distraction overnight. Simply become more intentional each day. Protect 1 hour for learning. Protect 1 hour for building your dream. Protect 1 hour for becoming the person you want to be. Those focused hours will eventually become the foundation of extraordinary success. Remember this. Your attention is your greatest currency. Spend it wisely. Because wherever your attention goes, your life follows. One day, people will admire your results. They will wonder how you achieved so much. They may call you gifted. They may call you fortunate. But you will know the truth. Your success was built one focused day at a time. As this chapter comes to a close, remember these words. Discipline creates habits. Habits create consistency. Consistency creates excellence. And excellence is what transforms ordinary people into high achievers. In the next chapter, you'll discover why failure is not the end of your journey but one of the greatest teachers you'll ever have, and how every setback can become the foundation for an even greater comeback. Chapter 4. Turn failure into your greatest advantage. Point 1. Failure is not the end. It is the beginning of growth. Most people fear failure more than they fear regret. They avoid taking risks because they don't want to make mistakes. They stay in jobs they dislike because they fear uncertainty. They never start the business they dream about because they fear losing money. They never speak up because they fear being judged. They never chase their true potential because they fear failing. Ironically, by trying so hard to avoid failure, they end up failing to live the life they truly wanted. High achievers see failure differently. They don't enjoy failing. They don't celebrate disappointment. But they understand that failure is one of life's greatest teachers. Every mistake contains a lesson. Every setback reveals a weakness that can be improved. Every challenge develops strength that comfort never can. Imagine a blacksmith forging a sword. The metal must first enter the fire. Then it is struck repeatedly with a heavy hammer. Again and again. To someone watching from a distance, it may seem like the metal is being destroyed. But the blacksmith knows something the observer does not. The fire is not destroying the metal. It is strengthening it. Your failures often work the same way. The disappointments you experience are not always meant to break you. Sometimes they are preparing you for responsibilities you are not yet ready to carry. Many of the world's greatest achievements were built on repeated failures. Inventors failed hundreds of times before creating life-changing inventions. Athletes lost countless competitions before becoming champions. Business owners watched companies collapse before building successful ones. If they had stopped after the first setback, the world would never have known their names. Success does not belong to those who never fail. It belongs to those who refuse to quit. Story. There was once a young potter who dreamed of creating the most beautiful clay pots in his village. Every morning he gathered fresh clay from the riverbank and spent hours shaping it with great care. But every time he placed his pots into the kiln, something went wrong. Some cracked. Others broke apart completely. A few lost their shape before they even cooled. After months of failure, he became discouraged. One evening, he packed his tools into a small wooden box and decided he would never make another pot again. As he was leaving his workshop, an elderly potter who had watched him for months stopped him. The old man asked, "Why are you giving up?" The young potter sighed. "I've failed too many times. Maybe I simply wasn't born to do this." The old potter smiled and led him inside his own workshop. He pointed to dozens of broken pots stacked in one corner. The young man looked confused. "I thought you were the best potter in the village." The old man laughed softly. "I am. Those broken pots are the reason." The young man looked even more confused. The old man picked up one cracked pot and said, "Every crack taught me something. This one taught me the clay was too dry. This one taught me the fire was too hot. This one taught me I rushed the process. Every broken pot removed one mistake from my future." He then handed the young man a perfectly crafted vase. "This vase was not created because I avoided failure. It was created because I learned from every failure." Those words changed the young man's life. Instead of seeing broken pots as proof that he was incapable, he began seeing them as lessons. He returned to work. He adjusted his methods. He became more patient. Years later, travelers journeyed from distant towns to buy his pottery. His workshop became famous throughout the region. People admired his beautiful creations. Few realized they had been built upon hundreds of broken pots. That is how success is created. Not by avoiding mistakes, but by learning from them. When something doesn't go as planned, don't immediately ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" That one question can completely change your perspective. Failure loses its power when it becomes your teacher instead of your enemy. Remember this. Every expert carries invisible scars. Every successful person has experienced disappointment. Every champion has known defeat. The difference is that they refuse to let one bad chapter become the entire story of their lives. Your past failures do not define your future. Your response to those failures does. So stand up again. Learn the lesson. Adjust your approach. And keep moving forward. One day, the very experience that almost made you quit will become the story that inspires someone else to keep going. As this point comes to an end, remember this truth. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is one of the roads that leads to it. In the next point, you'll discover why resilience is the hidden strength behind every high achiever and how learning to rise after every setback will make you impossible to stop. Chapter 4. Turn failure into your greatest advantage. Point 2. Resilience is the strength to rise every time you fall. Life will test you. There is no achievement so great that it comes without obstacles. There is no meaningful dream that reaches its destination without moments of doubt, disappointment, and pain. The question is not whether you will face challenges. The question is how you will respond when they arrive. High achievers understand that resilience is one of the most valuable qualities a person can develop. Resilience is the ability to keep moving forward after life knocks you down. It is choosing hope when everything seems uncertain. It is refusing to let one difficult season convince you that your future has been destroyed. Think about the ocean during a storm. The waves crash against the rocks with incredible force. Day after day. Year after year. Yet the strongest rocks remain standing. Not because the waves stopped coming, but because the rocks were strong enough to endure them. Your character is built the same way. Every challenge you overcome makes you stronger. Every disappointment teaches you patience. Every setback develops endurance. The struggles you face today are preparing you for opportunities that require greater strength tomorrow. Many people believe confidence comes before courage. But the opposite is true. Courage comes first. Confidence grows each time you prove to yourself that you can survive difficult moments. Every obstacle you overcome becomes evidence that you are stronger than you once believed. That is how resilience is built. One challenge at a time. Story. There was once a young mountain climber whose dream was to reach the highest peak in his country. He trained for months. He studied maps. He saved money for equipment. Finally, the day arrived. Full of excitement, he began the climb. For the first few hours, everything went well. The weather was clear. The path was easy. He felt certain he would reach the summit before sunset. Then the weather changed. Dark clouds covered the sky. Heavy rain began to fall. The trail became slippery. After several hours of struggling, he lost his footing and slid several meters down the mountain. Bruised and exhausted, he looked up at the peak. It still seemed impossibly far away. Discouraged, he decided to turn back. As he slowly descended, he met an elderly climber making his way up the mountain. The old man noticed the disappointment on the young climber's face and asked, "What happened?" "I failed," the young man replied. "The mountain defeated me." The old climber smiled gently. Then he pointed toward the mountain and said, "The mountain hasn't changed. But you have." The young man looked confused. The old man continued, "You are going home stronger than when you started. You now know which paths are dangerous. You know where the rocks become slippery. You know what equipment you need. The mountain didn't defeat you. It trained you." Those words stayed with the young climber. Instead of giving up, he spent the next several months preparing more carefully. He improved his strength. He upgraded his equipment. He practiced climbing in difficult weather. When he returned to the mountain, he faced many of the same challenges. The rain came again. The wind was stronger than before. The climb was still difficult. But this time, he was different. He knew what to expect. He remained calm. Step by step, he continued climbing until he finally stood on the summit. Looking across the horizon, he realized something. The greatest victory wasn't reaching the top. The greatest victory was becoming the kind of person who refused to quit. That is the true reward of resilience. It transforms you from the inside out. Life will sometimes delay your success. It may close one door while opening another. It may force you to take a path you never planned to travel. Do not mistake a delay for a denial. Some of the greatest opportunities in life arrive only after seasons of struggle. A tree grows stronger because it withstands the wind. Gold becomes pure because it passes through fire. A diamond is formed under pressure. Likewise, your greatest strengths are often developed during your hardest seasons. When life becomes difficult, remember why you started. Remember the dream that inspired you. Remember the person you are becoming. Don't allow temporary pain to make permanent decisions. Keep walking. Keep learning. Keep believing. Even if your steps are small, keep moving forward. Because every step you take after a setback is proof that failure has not defeated you. One day, people will admire your success. They will see your confidence, your wisdom, and your achievements. What they won't see are the countless moments when you chose to get back up instead of giving up. Those invisible moments are what truly create a high achiever. As this point comes to an end, remember this powerful truth. You are not measured by how many times life knocks you down. You are measured by how many times you choose to stand back up. In the next point, you'll discover why rejection is often a hidden opportunity and how every no can move you one step closer to the yes that changes your life forever. Chapter 4: Turn failure into your greatest advantage. Point 3: Rejection is redirection, not your destination. Few things hurt as deeply as rejection. Being told no. Being overlooked for an opportunity. Watching someone else receive the promotion you wanted. Having your business idea rejected. Submitting your work only to hear that it isn't good enough. These moments can make you question your ability. They can make you wonder if your dreams are unrealistic. They can even convince you to stop trying altogether. But high achievers understand a truth that most people never learn. Rejection is not always a sign that you are on the wrong path. Sometimes, it is life redirecting you toward a better one. Think about an archer preparing to shoot an arrow. Before the arrow moves forward, it must first be pulled backward. To someone unfamiliar with archery, it may look like the arrow is moving away from the target. But the backward movement is what creates the power to move forward. Life often works the same way. Sometimes you feel like you're moving backward. Sometimes it feels like every door is closing. But those moments may be preparing you for an opportunity greater than the one you lost. Many successful people were rejected countless times before achieving greatness. Writers had their manuscripts rejected. Actors were turned away from auditions. Entrepreneurs were denied loans. Inventors were laughed at for ideas that later changed the world. If they had accepted rejection as the final answer, their stories would have ended before they truly began. Rejection only becomes permanent when you decide to stop trying. Story: There was a young man who dreamed of becoming an architect. From childhood, he loved designing buildings. He spent hours drawing houses, bridges, and schools in old notebooks. After years of studying, he finally applied for a position at one of the most respected architectural firms in the city. He believed he had done everything right. He had worked hard. He had prepared carefully. He was confident. A week later, the company called. His application had been rejected. The news crushed him. For several days, he questioned everything. Maybe he wasn't talented enough. Maybe his dream had been unrealistic. One evening, while sitting quietly in a small cafe, an older gentleman noticed his disappointment. They began talking. The young man shared his story. After listening carefully, the older man smiled and asked, "What will you do tomorrow?" The young man shrugged. "I don't know." The older man replied. "Good. Because tomorrow gives you another chance." He encouraged the young man to keep improving his portfolio instead of giving up. The young man followed the advice. Every day, he practiced designing better buildings. He learned new software. He studied the work of great architects. He asked experienced professionals to critique his designs. Almost a year later, another company announced an opening. This time, he applied again. Not only was he accepted, but his creativity quickly earned him opportunities to lead major projects. Years later, Chapter 4: Turn failure into your greatest advantage. Point 3: Rejection is redirection, not your destination. Few things hurt as deeply as rejection. Being told no. Being overlooked for an opportunity. Watching someone else receive the promotion you wanted. Having your business idea rejected. Submitting your work only to hear that it isn't good enough. These moments can make you question your ability. They can make you wonder if your dreams are unrealistic. They can even convince you to stop trying altogether. But high achievers understand a truth that most people never learn. Rejection is not always a sign that you are on the wrong path. Sometimes, it is life redirecting you toward a better one. Think about an archer preparing to shoot an arrow. Before the arrow moves forward, it must first be pulled backward. To someone unfamiliar with archery, it may look like the arrow is moving away from the target. But the backward movement is what creates the power to move forward. Life often works the same way. Sometimes you feel like you're moving backward. Sometimes it feels like every door is closing. But those moments may be preparing you for an opportunity greater than the one you lost. Many successful people were rejected countless times before achieving greatness. Writers had their manuscripts rejected. Actors were turned away from auditions. Entrepreneurs were denied loans. Inventors were laughed at for ideas that later changed the world. If they had accepted rejection as the final answer, their stories would have ended before they truly began. Rejection only becomes permanent when you decide to stop trying. Story. There was a young man who dreamed of becoming an architect. From childhood, he loved designing buildings. He spent hours drawing houses, bridges, and schools in old notebooks. After years of studying, he finally applied for a position at one of the most respected architectural firms in the city. He believed he had done everything right. He had worked hard. He had prepared carefully. He was confident. A week later, the company called. His application had been rejected. The news crushed him. For several days, he questioned everything. Maybe he wasn't talented enough. Maybe his dream had been unrealistic. One evening, while sitting quietly in a small cafe, an older gentleman noticed his disappointment. They began talking. The young man shared his story. After listening carefully, the older man smiled and asked, "What will you do tomorrow?" The young man shrugged. "I don't know," the older man replied. "Good. Because tomorrow gives you another chance." He encouraged the young man to keep improving his portfolio instead of giving up. The young man followed the advice. Every day, he practiced designing better buildings. He learned new software. He studied the work of great architects. He asked experienced professionals to critique his designs. Almost a year later, another company announced an opening. This time, he applied again. Not only was he accepted, but his creativity quickly earned him opportunities to lead major projects. Years later, one of his buildings received a National Design Award. During an interview, a journalist asked him, "What was the turning point in your career?" He smiled and said, "The day I was rejected." The interviewer looked surprised. The architect continued, "If I had been accepted the first time, I would have stopped improving. Rejection forced me to become better." That is one of life's greatest lessons. Sometimes the opportunity you lose is preparing you for one you cannot yet imagine. Every rejection carries a question. Will you quit? Or, will you grow? The answer determines your future. Do not take rejection personally. Sometimes people reject your timing. Sometimes they reject your experience. Sometimes they simply fail to see your potential. That does not mean your potential doesn't exist. Remember, one person's opinion can never determine your value. Never allow temporary rejection to create permanent self-doubt. Instead, let it fuel your determination. Improve your skills. Strengthen your character. Refine your craft. Become so prepared that when the next opportunity appears, you are ready. There is a powerful difference between being rejected and being defeated. Rejection is something that happens to you. Defeat is something you choose. As long as you keep learning, improving, and moving forward, you have not been defeated. One closed door often directs you toward another that leads to greater purpose. So don't spend your life standing outside a door that refused to open. Turn around. Keep walking. Another opportunity is waiting. And when it finally arrives, you'll realize that every rejection along the way was preparing you for the moment that truly belonged to you. As this point comes to an end, remember this truth. Every no is not the end of your story. Sometimes it is simply guiding you toward a better yes. In the next point, you'll discover why taking responsibility for your life is the moment you truly become unstoppable, and how refusing to blame circumstances gives you the power to change your future. Chapter 4. Turn failure into your greatest advantage. Point 4. Take responsibility for your life. There comes a moment in every high achiever's life when they stop pointing fingers and start looking in the mirror. That moment changes everything. It is easy to blame other people. It is easy to blame your family. It is easy to blame your boss, your teachers, your friends, your government, your finances, or your past. And sometimes, life truly is unfair. Some people begin with more opportunities than others. Some face obstacles that no one should ever have to face. These realities are true. But high achievers understand another truth that is even more powerful. You may not be responsible for everything that has happened to you. But you are responsible for what you choose to do next. The moment you accept responsibility, you also accept power. As long as you believe someone else controls your future, you will always wait for someone else to change your life. But when you take responsibility, you stop waiting. You begin acting. You begin learning. You begin growing. You begin creating opportunities instead of searching for excuses. Imagine two sailors caught in the same storm. The wind is strong. The waves are high. Neither sailor can control the weather. One sailor spends all his time complaining about the storm. The other adjusts his sails. Both face the same storm. Only one reaches the shore. Life is much the same. You cannot control every challenge that comes your way. But you can control your response. And your response is often more important than the challenge itself. Story. There was once a young mechanic named Daniel who worked in a small repair shop. Every day, he complained about his life. He blamed his low salary. He blamed his boss. He blamed the economy. Whenever someone became successful, he always found a reason to explain why their situation was different. They were lucky. They had connections. They were born into wealth. One afternoon, an elderly customer brought an old motorcycle to the shop. As Daniel repaired it, he continued complaining about how unfair life was. The old man listened quietly. When the repair was finished, he handed Daniel the payment and asked, "Can I tell you a story?" Daniel nodded. The old man pointed to the motorcycle and said, "When I bought this machine many years ago, it kept breaking down. I could have blamed the manufacturer. I could have blamed the roads. I could have blamed bad luck. But none of those things would have fixed the engine. So I learned how it worked. I studied it. I repaired it. And today it still carries me wherever I need to go." Then he looked Daniel in the eyes and said, "Your life is no different. The moment you spend blaming something is a moment you cannot spend improving something." Those words struck Daniel deeply. That evening, he went home in silence. For the first time, he stopped asking, "Why is my life like this?" Instead, he asked, "What can I do to make it better?" The next day, he arrived at work an hour early. He began studying advanced engine systems. He watched experienced mechanics carefully. He saved part of every paycheck. At night, he took business classes online. Years passed. Eventually, Daniel opened his own repair shop. His reputation for honesty and excellent work attracted customers from nearby towns. One afternoon, the same elderly man returned. This time, he saw Daniel standing proudly in front of his own business. Smiling, the old man asked, "What changed?" Daniel replied, "The day I stopped blaming my circumstances and started taking responsibility for my future." That is the turning point in every successful life. Responsibility is not about carrying guilt. It is about carrying ownership. Ownership says, "My future is my responsibility. My attitude is my responsibility. My habits are my responsibility. My growth is my responsibility." When you think this way, you stop wasting energy on things you cannot control. Instead, you focus on the things you can. You improve your skills. You strengthen your mindset. You build better habits. You become the kind of person who creates opportunities wherever you go. Remember, excuses may protect your pride for a moment, but they will steal your future. Responsibility may feel difficult at first, but it gives you something excuses never can: control. The day you take ownership of your life is the day you stop being a victim of your circumstances. You become the author of your story. No matter where you begin. No matter how many mistakes you've made. No matter how difficult your past has been. Your next decision still belongs to you. And one decision made today can change the direction of the rest of your life. As this point comes to an end, remember this powerful truth. The strongest people are not those who have perfect lives. They are those who choose responsibility even when life is imperfect. In the next point, you'll discover why persistence is the final key that separates those who achieve greatness from those who stop just before their breakthrough, and why your greatest success may be only one more attempt away. Chapter 4: Turn failure into your greatest advantage. Point 5: Persistence is the final step before the breakthrough. There is one reason many people never achieve their dreams. It is not because they lack intelligence. It is not because they lack opportunity. It is not because they are incapable. They simply quit too soon. Many people are only a few steps away from the breakthrough they've been praying for, but because they cannot see it, they give up. Success has a way of testing your commitment. It asks one question over and over again. How badly do you want this? If your answer changes every time life becomes difficult, your dream will never become reality. High achievers understand that persistence is more powerful than talent. Talent may help you start. Persistence helps you finish. Think about a miner searching for diamonds. Day after day, he digs through hard rock. There are no signs of treasure. Only dust, sweat, and exhaustion. Many people would quit after a few days. Others might quit after a few months. But the miner who keeps digging understands something important. The diamonds are never found on the surface. The greatest rewards are often hidden behind the greatest effort. Your dreams work the same way. Sometimes life is preparing your breakthrough while testing your patience. Every obstacle asks whether you are truly committed. Every delay asks whether you still believe. Every difficult season asks whether you are willing to continue. The people who eventually succeed are rarely the ones who never struggled. They are the ones who refuse to stop. Story. There was once a farmer who inherited a small piece of dry land from his father. The soil was hard. Rain rarely came. People in the village laughed when they saw him working from sunrise until sunset. One neighbor walked past him every day and said, "You're wasting your time. Nothing will ever grow here." But the farmer continued. He removed stones one by one. He dug channels to collect rainwater. He carried buckets of water from a distant stream. He planted seeds. Weeks passed. Nothing happened. Months passed. Still nothing. His neighbors laughed even harder. Some told him to sell the land. Others suggested he give up and find another job. But every morning, before the sun appeared, he returned to the field. He watered the soil. He removed weeds. He believed that what he could not yet see was still growing beneath the surface. Then one rainy season changed everything. The seeds that had been hidden for months suddenly began to sprout. Within weeks, the once empty land was covered with healthy crops. By harvest season, his farm produced more food than anyone in the village. The same neighbors who once mocked him now came asking for advice. One young man asked, "How did you know the crops would grow?" The farmer smiled and answered, "I didn't. I simply knew that if I stopped planting, I guaranteed there would never be a harvest." Those words carry a lesson every high achiever must remember. When you quit, you remove every possibility of success. As long as you continue, there is always hope. Persistence is not about moving quickly. It is about refusing to stop. Some days your progress will be fast. Other days it will seem almost invisible. Keep going. Some days you will feel confident. Other days you will question everything. Keep going. Some people will support you. Others will doubt you. Keep going. Your consistency will eventually become stronger than their criticism. Remember this. The darkest part of the night comes just before sunrise. Many people quit during the darkness because they cannot imagine the morning is so close. Don't let that be your story. The dream you have carried for years deserves one more attempt. That business deserves one more effort. That skill deserves one more practice session. That goal deserves one more day of discipline. You never know which attempt will change your life forever. History is filled with people who succeeded because they refused to stop when everyone else expected them to quit. They kept knocking until the door opened. They kept learning until they mastered the skill. They kept trying until failure finally gave way to success. You can do the same. The road may be longer than you expected. The journey may be harder than you imagined. But every step forward is bringing you closer to the person you are becoming. Never allow temporary disappointment to make you abandon a permanent dream. One day, you will look back on this season of your life. You won't remember every difficult moment. You won't remember every sleepless night. What you'll remember is that you kept going. And because you kept going, you arrived. As Chapter 4 comes to an end, remember this powerful truth. Failure can teach you. Rejection can strengthen you. Responsibility can transform you. But persistence is what carries you across the finish line. In the next chapter, you'll discover the power of surrounding yourself with the right people and why the relationships you build can either accelerate your success or quietly hold you back. Chapter 5. Surround yourself with the right people. Point 1. The people around you shape the person you become. Take a moment and think about the 5 people you spend the most time with. Think about the conversations you have with them. Think about the advice they give you. Think about the habits they encourage. Now ask yourself one important question. Are these relationships helping me become a high achiever? Whether you realize it or not, the people around you influence your thoughts, your habits, your beliefs, your confidence, and even your future. High achievers understand this. That is why they choose their circle carefully. This doesn't mean they believe they are better than others. It simply means they understand that influence is powerful. If you spend every day with people who complain about life, eventually you will begin to complain. If you spend every day with people who waste time, eventually you will begin to waste time. If you spend every day with people who believe success is impossible, eventually your own dreams will begin to shrink. But the opposite is also true. Spend time with people who read books, and you'll begin reading more. Spend time with people who set goals, and you'll begin thinking bigger. Spend time with disciplined people, and discipline will become more natural to you. Attitudes are contagious. So are habits. So are dreams. The people around you are either pulling you upward or pulling you downward. There is rarely a middle ground. That is why you must be intentional about who has access to your mind. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Some people inspire you. Others drain you. Some encourage your growth. Others mock your ambition. Some celebrate your victories. Others secretly hope you fail because your progress reminds them of what they have refused to pursue. High achievers learn to recognize the difference. Story. There was a young woman named Sarah who dreamed of becoming a successful entrepreneur. She had a notebook filled with business ideas. She spent hours planning how she would one day build a company that could change lives. But every time she shared her ideas with her closest friends, they laughed. Businesses always fail. You're dreaming too big. Just find a safe job and stop taking unnecessary risks. At first, Sarah believed them. She stopped talking about her dreams. She began doubting herself. Months passed, and nothing changed. One afternoon, while attending a free business seminar, she met a small group of young entrepreneurs. Their conversations were different. Instead of talking about problems, they discussed solutions. Instead of making excuses, they shared ideas. Instead of laughing at big dreams, they challenged one another to think even bigger. Sarah was amazed. For the first time, she felt understood. She began meeting with them every weekend. They recommended books. They shared business strategies. They encouraged one another after failures. Whenever one person succeeded, everyone celebrated. Slowly, Sarah changed. She became more confident. She started taking action. She launched her first small business from her bedroom. It wasn't perfect. She made mistakes. She lost money. She learned difficult lessons. But unlike before, she wasn't alone. Her new friends encouraged her to keep going. They reminded her that every successful entrepreneur had once been a beginner. Years later, Sarah's company employed dozens of people. During an interview, someone asked, "What was the best business decision you ever made?" Many expected her to mention an investment or a marketing strategy. Instead, she smiled and said, "I changed my circle." The day I surrounded myself with people who believed growth was possible was the day my life began to change. That is one of the greatest lessons you will ever learn. Sometimes the fastest way to change your future is to change your environment. Choose relationships that challenge you to become better. Choose friends who celebrate discipline instead of mocking it. Choose mentors who have already walked the path you hope to follow. Choose conversations that leave you inspired instead of discouraged. Remember, your future is too valuable to be shaped by constant negativity. This does not mean you stop loving people. It means you stop allowing negative thinking to control your direction. You can love someone without allowing their limitations to become your own. You can respect someone without accepting advice from someone who has never achieved what you are trying to accomplish. Protect your dreams. In their early stages, dreams are like young plants. They need encouragement. They need wisdom. They need the right environment to grow. If you constantly expose them to negativity, they may never reach their full potential. One encouraging conversation can change the direction of your life. One wise mentor can save you years of unnecessary mistakes. One positive friendship can give you the courage to keep moving when you feel like giving up. Never underestimate the power of the people you choose to walk beside. Because one day, you'll become a reflection of the voices you listen to the most. As this point comes to an end, remember this powerful truth. Your circle doesn't determine your future by accident. It shapes your future through daily influence. Choose wisely. In the next point, you'll discover why finding mentors can accelerate your success and how learning from those who have already succeeded can save you years of trial and error. Chapter 5. Surround yourself with the right people. Point 2. Learn from people who have already walked the path. One of the smartest decisions you can ever make is to learn from people who have already achieved what you are trying to accomplish. Many people believe they have to figure everything out on their own. They spend years making avoidable mistakes. They repeat failures that someone else has already learned from. Not because they lack intelligence, but because they refuse to seek guidance. High achievers understand that wisdom is one of the greatest shortcuts in life. A mentor cannot do the work for you, but they can help you avoid unnecessary detours. They can see mistakes before you make them. They can encourage you when you become discouraged. They can remind you that every challenge you face has already been overcome by someone else. Imagine trying to cross a dense forest you've never seen before. There are countless paths. Some lead to safety. Others lead to danger. Now imagine meeting someone who has crossed that forest many times. They know where the dangerous cliffs are. They know which paths lead to dead ends. They know the fastest route to your destination. Wouldn't it be wise to listen? Life works exactly the same way. Every successful person leaves behind lessons. Some write books. Some give speeches. Some share interviews. Some become personal mentors. Their experiences are maps for those willing to learn. The greatest mistake you can make is believing you already know enough. The moment you stop learning from others is the moment your growth begins to slow. Remain teachable. Remain curious. Remain humble. Because humility opens doors that pride keeps closed. Story. There was once a young man named Samuel who dreamed of becoming a successful baker. He loved making bread and pastries. His family and friends always praised his recipes. Confident in his abilities, he borrowed money and opened a small bakery. For the first few months, he expected customers to line up outside his shop. Instead, very few people came. Some days he sold almost nothing. The bills began to pile up. He became frustrated. One evening, while closing his shop, an elderly baker from across town stopped by. The old man had owned a bakery for more than 30 years. He noticed Samuel's disappointment and asked, "How is business?" Samuel sighed. "I don't understand. I know how to bake. My products are good. But customers aren't coming." The old baker smiled and said, "Tomorrow morning, meet me at my bakery before sunrise." Curious, Samuel arrived at 4 o'clock the next morning. To his surprise, the old baker was already preparing dough. For the next several hours, Samuel watched carefully. He noticed something he had never considered. The old baker greeted every customer by name. He remembered their favorite bread. He asked about their families. He kept his shop spotless. He arrived hours before opening so everything would be fresh. He wasn't just selling bread. He was serving people. At the end of the day, the old baker said, "Good bread brings customers once. Good character brings them back." Those words changed Samuel's entire approach. He stopped thinking only about baking. He started learning about service. He improved his communication. He listened to customer feedback. He welcomed every person with kindness and respect. Within 2 years, his bakery became one of the busiest in the city. People often praised his delicious bread. But Samuel knew the real secret. His success began the day he became humble enough to learn from someone who had already traveled the road before him. That is the value of a mentor. A mentor helps you see what experience alone might take years to teach. You may not always have access to a personal mentor, but that should never stop you from learning. Books can become mentors. Biographies can become mentors. Educational videos can become mentors. Podcasts can become mentors. Every lesson learned from someone else's experience can save you from unnecessary pain. Never allow your ego to become more important than your growth. Some people reject advice because they want to appear capable. High achievers welcome advice because they want to become capable. Ask questions. Listen carefully. Observe closely. Apply what you learn. Knowledge without action has very little value. Wisdom only changes your life when it becomes part of your daily habits. As you continue your journey, seek people who challenge your thinking. Seek people who tell you the truth, even when it is uncomfortable. Seek people who inspire you to become a better version of yourself. One conversation with the right mentor can change the direction of your life. One piece of advice can save you years of frustration. One lesson can unlock opportunities you never imagined possible. Remember this. Wise people don't learn only from their own mistakes. They also learn from the experiences of others. That is why they grow faster. That is why they avoid unnecessary failures. That is why they continue moving forward while others remain stuck. As this point comes to an end, remember this powerful truth. If you want to go farther than you've ever gone before, be willing to learn from those who have already been there. In the next point, you'll discover why serving others and building genuine relationships create opportunities that money alone can never buy, and how becoming valuable to others is one of the fastest ways to become truly successful. Chapter 5. Surround yourself with the right people. Point 3. Become so valuable that people look for you. Many people spend their lives asking one question. What can I get? High achievers ask a different question. What can I give? That single change in thinking changes everything. The world rewards value. Businesses are paid because they solve problems. Doctors are valued because they help people heal. Teachers are respected because they help others learn. Engineers are rewarded because they create solutions. The greater the value you bring to others, the greater the opportunities that begin to find you. This is why high achievers focus on becoming useful instead of becoming famous. They focus on serving instead of showing off. They spend their time improving their skills so they can make a real difference in the lives of others. When you become valuable, people begin to trust you. When people trust you, they recommend you. When they recommend you, new opportunities begin to appear. Success is rarely about knowing everyone. It is about becoming someone worth knowing. Think of a lighthouse standing on the edge of the sea. It does not chase ships. It simply shines its light. Because of its value, ships naturally look for it when they need direction. Become like that lighthouse. Develop your character. Strengthen your skills. Improve your attitude. Serve people with excellence. Over time, the right opportunities will begin to find you. Story. There was once a young man named Michael who worked as a cleaner in a large office building. Every morning, he arrived before everyone else. He cleaned every hallway carefully. He arranged the chairs neatly. He made sure every office looked professional before employees arrived. Many people barely noticed him. Some walked past without even saying good morning. But Michael never allowed that to affect the quality of his work. He believed that excellence should never depend on recognition. One rainy morning, the company's director arrived much earlier than usual. As he entered the building, he noticed Michael helping an elderly visitor who had slipped near the entrance. Michael helped the man to his feet, found him a chair, offered him water, and stayed with him until he felt better. He did all of this without being asked. The director quietly observed everything. A few days later, the director called Michael into his office. Michael became nervous. He wondered if he had done something wrong. Instead, the director smiled. "I've been watching you for months," he said. "You treat every responsibility with care. You respect people. You solve problems without waiting to be told. I need someone like that in our operations department." Michael was offered a new position. He accepted with gratitude. He worked just as faithfully in his new role. Over the years, he continued learning, improving, and helping others. Eventually, he became the operations manager of the entire company. During a leadership conference, someone asked him, "How did you move from being a cleaner to becoming a manager?" Michael smiled and replied, "I stopped asking what the company could do for me. I started asking how valuable I could become to the company." That answer inspired everyone in the room, because it revealed a principle that many people overlook. Promotion often follows value. Opportunities often follow excellence. Trust often follows character. Don't wait for a bigger opportunity before giving your best. Give your best where you are. The way you handle small responsibilities reveals how you will handle bigger ones. If you cannot be faithful with little, why would anyone trust you with more? Every task matters. Every conversation matters. Every act of kindness matters. Every promise you keep strengthens your reputation. People may forget your words. They may even forget your achievements. But they rarely forget how you made them feel. Treat people with respect. Keep your word. Be dependable. Solve problems instead of creating them. Become the person others can rely on. That kind of reputation is priceless. In a world where many people seek attention, choose to create value. In a world where many people seek recognition, choose to serve with excellence. The rewards may not come immediately. Some people may overlook your efforts. Some may even take your kindness for granted. Do not become discouraged. Keep planting seeds of excellence. One day, the harvest will come. Someone will notice your integrity. Someone will recognize your commitment. Someone will open a door because they trust your character. And when that opportunity comes, you'll realize that it wasn't luck. It was the result of becoming valuable long before anyone was watching. As this point comes to an end, remember this powerful truth. The world makes room for people who make life better for others. Become that person. In the next point, you'll discover why protecting your peace from negative influences is essential for long-term success, and how learning to walk away from toxic relationships can completely transform your future. Chapter 5. Surround yourself with the right people. Point 4. Protect your peace by distancing yourself from negative influences. Not everyone who walks into your life is meant to walk with you forever. Some people enter your life to encourage your growth. Others enter your life to teach you a lesson. And some, if you are not careful, will slowly pull you away from the future you are trying to build. One of the hardest decisions a high achiever must make is choosing who they allow to influence their mind. This doesn't mean you stop loving people. It doesn't mean you become proud or believe you are better than anyone else. It simply means you understand that your mind is valuable, and you must protect it. Imagine trying to light a candle in the middle of a strong wind. Every time the flame begins to grow, the wind pushes against it. Eventually, the flame goes out. Your dreams are like that flame. In the beginning, they are fragile. They need encouragement. They need discipline. They need faith. If you constantly expose your dreams to negativity, criticism, gossip, and discouragement, it becomes much harder for them to grow. High achievers know that peace is not weakness. Peace is power. A peaceful mind makes better decisions. A peaceful mind stays focused during difficult times. A peaceful mind refuses to waste energy on unnecessary drama. Many people spend more time arguing than improving. More time complaining than creating. More time criticizing others than developing themselves. High achievers choose a different path. They avoid unnecessary conflict. They refuse to participate in gossip. They protect their attention because they know their future depends on where they place it. Story. There was once a young man named Joseph who dreamed of becoming a successful engineer. He worked during the day and studied every evening. His goal was clear. He wanted to earn his engineering certification and build a better future for his family. But every night, a group of friends invited him to spend hours hanging around the neighborhood. At first, Joseph joined them. They laughed. They talked. They joked about people who worked hard. Whenever Joseph mentioned his dream, someone would say, "Relax. You study too much. You only live once." Weeks became months. Joseph noticed something troubling. His grades were falling. He was missing study sessions. He was becoming someone he never intended to be. One evening, after failing an important examination, he sat alone and asked himself a difficult question. Who am I becoming? The answer frightened him. The next day, he made one of the hardest decisions of his life. He reduced the time he spent with those friends. Instead, he joined a study group at the local library. The students there had different conversations. They discussed books. They solved difficult problems together. They encouraged each other before examinations. Whenever one person felt discouraged, the others reminded them why they had started. Slowly, Joseph changed. His confidence returned. His grades improved. His discipline grew stronger. Years later, he graduated with honors and became one of the most respected engineers in his company. One afternoon, one of his old friends met him by chance. Looking at Joseph's success, he asked, "What changed your life?" Joseph smiled and answered, "I changed the voices I listened to every day." That simple answer carries enormous wisdom. The voices you hear repeatedly eventually become the thoughts you believe. If you constantly hear that success is impossible, you may begin to believe it. If you constantly hear excuses, you may begin making excuses. If you constantly hear hope, discipline, and encouragement, those qualities begin to grow inside you. Protect your peace. Not every argument deserves your response. Not every criticism deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves a place in your mind. Some people criticize because they cannot imagine themselves succeeding. Do not allow their limits to become your limits. Stay respectful. Stay humble. But remain focused on your purpose. Remember that your future is too important to be controlled by constant negativity. Spend more time with people who challenge you to grow than with people who encourage you to stay comfortable. Spend more time